You are almost finished in this planet. All the human filth have been cut down for the glory of corn, and you feel your bloodlust at the lowest level it has been in 10,000 years. Suddenly, a kid appears from below the ruin that it once her home, looks you in the eye, and offers you in the most kind way her rag doll to you. "Don't be angry no more. You can have my doll," she says as she smiles in a kind-hearted way. Something in your innards starts to feel warm and funny. What do you do?
For a moment, irritated as I am by the blow to the back of my head earlier, I consider murdering her to quench the unceasing fire that burns within me. My hand taught to war by corn and turned to slaughter by my hatred of the Imperium that would have held me back from my craft, twitches in anticipation of ripping her spine out. But it does not, for in the back of my mind something is holding me back, like the catch in a combination lock, finally pressing into its final alignment. An old part of my brain begins to whirl and click. The howl of corn fades, and for the first time in 10,000 years my mind is silent. And I begin to remember. So young I was when I first held a weapon. My father had taught me to cut wood with an axe, a heavy maul which to cleave logs in twain and stack cord upon cord behind our cottage. From the first winter I could walk, I was helping my father carry firewood to our home to keep it warm in the frozen cold of winter. I was a good boy, a strong boy, but not strong enough to. I remember the sound of song, and the cheer and the laughter of the holy day, when we would consume squash pies and eat the meat of the jawbird. I remember my mother. I remember my father. I remember my sister. I remember when the beasts came and took them from me. I remember the doll I found in the remnants of our room when I returned from slaying dragons with my wooden sword. I remember the tatters of cloth and splatter of meat and gore underneath the bed, where she had hidden until the very end. I remember the beasts. I remember taking up my axe. I was no more than 12 winters and walking to town to join the army. I remember being told to go home, that the men of my village would defeat this army of great beasts. I remember the hundreds leaving to fight the enemy I was too terrified to remember. I remember the ragtag few who returned. I remember the fire falling from the sky, and I remember the great golden warriors coming to save my people. I remember being taken, for I was a strong lad, to be changed, maybe into what I am. I remember the pain. I remember the anger. I remember my master, who also lost everything. I remember his tales of his family fleeing bondage, his warrior brothers slaughtered to the last in the name of freedom, denied their victory by the Emperor. I remember entering my room through the window and seeing the monsters as they left. I remember turning with my warrior brothers. I remember slaughtering the weak loyalists with chain axe and bolter. I remember seeing the red dots that had stamped themselves in my mind. I remember watching the fields of Elysium burn, and the fleet above Praxis collapse beneath our hatred. I remember remember my gauntlets, crimson with gore and edged in gold, that I could not bear to remember. I remember Terra in the final battle, the fall of Horus, the death of the Emperor, our victory, and our defeat. I remember that helmet, horned, of brazen steel and demonic visage. I remember my fellow berserkers patting me on the armored back and saying that he knew why I would not talk to my past. I remember who slew my people for resisting imperial rule till the last, for I am one of them. I lower my axe and stare. I hear the boots of my brothers behind me as they seek more slaughter. I hear the howl again, but it is different. It is tempered. It is not corn, it is mine. Long overdue. I take the doll and tell the girl to leave. I turn as my brothers enter the square. No, not my brothers. My makers. My monsters. They see me, and the child as she flees through the little crawl space. They do not understand what is about to happen to them. They do not understand why my chest heaves and my eyes bleed from ducts long atrophied. They do not understand because they are not men. They are no more human than animals, no more human than trees, wood. And I remember that I am the son of a woodsman.